Vanessa Brooks had built her empire from the very ground up, a journey marked by relentless determination, sleepless nights, and a refusal to be defined by anyone's expectations but her own. As the CEO and founder of Brooks Automotive, a car dealership chain that had rapidly grown to become one of the most respected and fastest expanding names in the industry, Vanessa was no stranger to challenges, setbacks, or battles fought both inside boardrooms and outside on the streets. Her rise to prominence had been an uphill climb, especially as a black woman in a field historically dominated by others, who often doubted her capabilities and questioned her presence. Yet she had persevered, combining sharp business acumen with a heartfelt commitment to providing top-tier service and community involvement. That day, after a long and exhausting flight back from a major national business summit where she had been celebrated as a visionary leader, Vanessa decided to visit the flagship Brooks Automotive dealership located in the heart of downtown Atlanta, a place she had poured her soul into building, and that symbolized everything she stood for. As she stepped through the glass doors into the sleek, shining showroom, filled with polished vehicles gleaming under bright lights and the hum of soft jazz music playing through hidden speakers, Vanessa expected to be greeted with warmth and respect by the employees who had been part of the family she cultivated. Instead, the atmosphere shifted palpably. The usual friendly greetings were replaced by uncomfortable silences, furtive glances, and an unmistakable tension that Vanessa immediately sensed but struggled to understand at first. The staff, normally bustling with enthusiasm and pride, seemed distant and cold, their eyes avoiding direct contact, whispers fluttering just beneath the surface. The store manager, Greg, a man in his late 40s with a worn suit and a face lined with complacency and prejudice, fixed Vanessa with a look that was equal parts disdain and disbelief, as if questioning how she dared to walk in that door. Heart pounding but mind razor-sharp, Vanessa made her way to the main counter, where she intended to inspect a newly released luxury sedan that she had personally approved to be featured at this location. But before she could even finish her sentence, Greg cut her off with a dismissive sneer, saying, "We don't serve customers like you here." The words crashed over Vanessa like a tidal wave. Denial, rejection, and discrimination all rolled into one brutal phrase uttered by a man who worked for her, who owed his job to her vision and investment. For a split second, she froze, the shock rendering her speechless, as the absurdity and cruelty of the moment slammed into her chest. Denied service at her own dealership, a place she had built brick by brick. It was surreal, humiliating, and infuriating beyond belief. Around her, the other employees averted their eyes, some shrinking back, unwilling or too afraid to intervene, leaving Vanessa isolated in the sting of that rejection. Yet beneath the shock, a fierce fire ignited within her, a deep, unyielding resolve that this blatant act of racism and disrespect would not stand, not on her watch, not in her company, not in her life. Gathering herself with practiced grace, Vanessa's voice was steady but firm as she demanded an explanation, refusing to let Greg's condescension or the silence of bystanders diminish her authority or her dignity. The cold air of the showroom seemed to tighten, charged with tension as customers paused to watch the unfolding drama, some whispering in disbelief, others clearly uncomfortable but unsure how to react. Vanessa's mind raced through the years of struggle, the moments when she had been overlooked, underestimated, and pushed aside, realizing that this moment was not just about her, but a symbol of the larger fight against systemic discrimination that many still faced daily. With poise that commanded respect, she silently vowed that this incident would be the turning point, a moment that would expose the ugly underbelly of prejudice hidden beneath polished floors and shiny cars, and that would ultimately lead to justice, accountability, and a stronger, more inclusive future for Brooks Automotive. This was her empire, her dream, and she would fight to protect it not only for herself but for every person who had ever been told they didn't belong. And so, the confrontation that followed was not merely a dispute over service, but a bold stand against the entrenched biases that lingered beneath the surface, a fight for respect, recognition, and the undeniable truth that no one should ever be denied dignity, especially not in the place they call their own. Vanessa's voice remained calm yet unwavering, carrying the weight of years of experience and a burning sense of justice as she fixed Greg with a steady gaze and asked, "Excuse me? Did you just refuse me service because of who I am?" The words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable, piercing through the thick tension that had settled over the showroom like a heavy fog. Greg, caught between arrogance and discomfort, smirked arrogantly, his eyes flashing with a mixture of defiance and disdain as he casually shrugged and responded with a chilling bluntness. "We have rules. You don't fit our clientele here." It was a statement dripping with thinly veiled racism and a complete disregard for the truth that Vanessa was not just any customer, but the very person who owned the entire dealership. The shock of his brazen dismissal rippled through the room instantly, like an electric current, as customers who had been browsing nearby suddenly turned their attention toward the unfolding drama, their expressions shifting from curiosity to disbelief, while employees exchanged uneasy glances and whispers began to ripple like a tide. Vanessa felt the eyes of everyone in the showroom on her, some filled with sympathy, others with discomfort, and a few with silent judgment. But she refused to let the moment break her composure. Drawing on every ounce of her strength, professionalism and self-respect, she signaled to her assistant, Maya, who quickly approached with a discreet nod, knowing Vanessa's unspoken call for support. While maintaining her poised exterior, Vanessa quietly pulled out her phone and contacted the corporate office, informing the board of directors about the unacceptable incident in real time, confident that they shared her commitment to upholding the company's core values of diversity, inclusion, respect, and excellence. She knew that the corporate leadership had long championed a zero-tolerance stance on discrimination, and she trusted that swift action would follow. Meanwhile, Greg, oblivious or indifferent to the storm he had just ignited, continued to stand, his ground, his posture radiating stubbornness and entitlement as he refused to retract his offensive words or offer an apology. Vanessa's patience, however, was not infinite. This was more than a personal insult. It was a fundamental challenge to the principles on which Brooks Automotive was built, and a slap in the face to every employee and customer who had ever believed in the brand's promise of dignity and fairness. She demanded that Greg take responsibility immediately by either apologizing sincerely or stepping down from his position as manager. The air thickened with tension, and an uneasy silence settled before murmurs began to ripple among the employees, many of whom had witnessed Vanessa's tireless efforts to build this company from nothing and admired her leadership. They whispered in hushed tones, questioning how the man entrusted to manage the store could behave so disrespectfully and recklessly, betraying the values they had all vowed to uphold. Some felt conflicted, caught between loyalty to their jobs and the moral imperative to stand against injustice, while others quietly wished they had the courage to intervene sooner. Vanessa's calm yet firm stance inspired many who were watching, a powerful reminder that authority should never be abused, and that those who serve others must do so with respect and fairness. The growing crowd of customers, sensing the gravity of the moment, began to murmur amongst themselves, expressing outrage and disbelief that such blatant discrimination could happen in a respected business like Brooks Automotive. The incident was no longer a private matter. It had become a public confrontation that demanded accountability and transparency. Vanessa, fully aware of the stakes and the eyes upon her, maintained control with remarkable grace, refusing to let anger or humiliation dictate her actions. Instead, she channeled her energy into reinforcing the message that discrimination had no place in her company or anywhere else. As the minutes passed, the corporate office responded swiftly, dispatching the regional director to the dealership to handle the situation. The anticipation of his arrival only intensified the atmosphere, with employees and customers alike eager to see justice served. Meanwhile, Vanessa took the opportunity to address the showroom, her voice steady and clear, as she spoke not only to Greg but to everyone present, reminding them of the company's founding mission to be a leader in both automotive excellence and social responsibility. She emphasized that respect, inclusion, and equal treatment were non-negotiable pillars of their operation, and any deviation from those principles would be met with zero tolerance. This moment marked a turning point, not just for the dealership, but for the entire organization, setting a precedent that leaders like Vanessa would fight tirelessly to uphold the dignity and rights of every individual. The confrontation, though difficult and painful, illuminated the need for continuous vigilance and education within the company and the broader industry, exposing deep-seated biases that could no longer be ignored. Vanessa's unwavering commitment to justice galvanized the staff, many of whom felt renewed pride and motivation to be part of a company willing to confront uncomfortable truths head-on. By the time the regional director arrived and took decisive action, the showroom had transformed from a place of tension and injustice to one of accountability and hope. This chapter in Vanessa's journey underscored the power of standing firm against discrimination and the importance of leadership that demands respect not just for the bottom line, but for human dignity. It was a powerful lesson that reverberated far beyond the walls of Brooks Automotive, inspiring others to speak out and act courageously in the face of prejudice and injustice. Before the situation could spiral further out of control, the regional director, Marcus Ellington, arrived at the Brooks Automotive flagship dealership, summoned swiftly by Vanessa's assistant Maya moments earlier, his presence commanding immediate attention and bringing a wave of relief and anticipation to the tense atmosphere that had gripped the showroom since Vanessa's confrontation with Greg, the store manager whose blatant racism had sparked a crisis that now demanded urgent resolution. Marcus, a seasoned executive known for his no-nonsense leadership and unwavering commitment to corporate ethics, stepped inside, taking in the scene with a piercing gaze that swept over Vanessa, standing tall with a calm dignity that radiated strength, and Greg, who shifted uncomfortably under the weight of mounting scrutiny as whispers and murmurs from customers and employees alike filled the room, their eyes fixed on the unfolding drama as if waiting for justice to be served. The moment was heavy with significance. This was not just a disciplinary issue, but a defining test of the company's values and leadership. Marcus's voice cut through the charged silence as he addressed Greg directly, his tone firm and resolute. "Greg, your behavior today is unacceptable and violates every principle this company stands for. Effective immediately, you are terminated from your position." The words landed like a thunderclap, stunning the room into silence, before ripples of murmured agreement and relief spread among the gathered crowd. Greg's face flushed with a mixture of shame and anger as he quickly began to gather his belongings, the weight of his actions now fully clear as he exited the dealership, defeated and disgraced. The reaction from customers and staff was immediate and profound. Spontaneous applause erupted, a cathartic release of frustration and a public affirmation of the values Vanessa and her team had fought so hard to uphold. Employees who had hesitated earlier stepped forward, expressing heartfelt apologies to Vanessa for their silence and inaction, many confessing feelings of regret for not intervening sooner and a renewed commitment to fostering a culture of respect and inclusion. The regional director then turned to Vanessa, offering a genuine and respectful acknowledgement of her courage and leadership in confronting the issue head-on, praising her for embodying the spirit and integrity that had built Brooks Automotive from the ground up. Marcus outlined plans for immediate action to prevent such incidents from recurring, including comprehensive training programs focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, mandatory workshops for all employees emphasizing the company's zero tolerance, policy on discrimination, and the establishment of a confidential reporting system to ensure any future concerns could be addressed promptly and transparently. The announcement was met with nods of approval and a collective sense of hope, signaling a new chapter for the dealership and the wider organization. Vanessa, though deeply affected by the ordeal, felt a profound sense of vindication and empowerment. The confrontation had not only exposed a toxic undercurrent, but also reinforced the necessity of unwavering vigilance and accountability at every level of leadership. As the day progressed, the media, tipped off by corporate communications, began to arrive, eager to capture the story of a black woman CEO standing firm against racism within her own company and swiftly enforcing justice, a narrative that resonated far beyond the automotive industry. Interviews were conducted, and Vanessa spoke eloquently about the importance of diversity and inclusion, the responsibility of leadership to protect all employees and customers, and her vision for Brooks Automotive to be a beacon of equality and excellence. Social media erupted with support and admiration for Vanessa's courage and decisive action, while conversations around corporate responsibility and racial justice gained momentum in boardrooms and communities nationwide. Internally, the dealership underwent a profound transformation. Team meetings became forums for open dialogue about race, bias, and respect, encouraging employees to share their experiences and perspectives in a safe environment. Leadership workshops were implemented, focusing not only on policies, but on empathy and cultural competency, fostering a workplace culture that celebrated differences rather than tolerating them. Vanessa spearheaded community outreach initiatives to strengthen ties with local organizations, advocating for social justice and economic empowerment, ensuring that Brooks Automotive was not just a business, but a force for positive change. But as say, journey was not without challenges. Some employees struggled to adjust, old attitudes surfaced, and progress required continuous effort and commitment. But the foundation laid by Vanessa's bold stand created momentum that could not be reversed. This chapter of Vanessa's story was more than a confrontation or a dismissal. It was a powerful testament to the impact of courageous leadership in the face of injustice. A reminder that standing up for what is right demands both conviction and action, and a beacon of hope for others striving to dismantle systemic discrimination in every sphere of life. Through the swift and decisive firing of Greg, the heartfelt apologies and renewed dedication of her team, the implementation of robust training programs, and the widespread public recognition of her fight, Vanessa not only reclaimed her rightful place as CEO, but also inspired a movement toward greater respect, equity, and inclusion that would shape the future of Brooks Automotive and set a standard for industries everywhere. This moment would forever be etched in the company's history as the day it chose integrity over ignorance, courage over complacency, and justice over injustice. A powerful legacy born from the strength and vision of one remarkable woman who refused to be denied the respect she deserved in the very place she built with her own hands. The reverberations of Vanessa Brooks's confrontation at her own dealership spread like wildfire, igniting powerful conversations that transcended the walls of Brooks Automotive and rippled across social media platforms, local news outlets, and corporate boardrooms nationwide, capturing the attention of millions who were moved by the story of a black woman CEO denied service in her own business, standing her ground with unshakable dignity and demanding accountability in the face of blatant discrimination. Hashtags flooded Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, creating viral momentum that fueled public discourse on issues of race, respect, and leadership in corporate America, with thousands sharing their own experiences of bias and discrimination in the workplace, praising Vanessa's courage as a beacon of hope and inspiration, especially for women of color who often face invisible barriers in positions of power, and prompting calls for broader systemic change to dismantle entrenched prejudices and promote genuine equity. Local and national news programs featured Vanessa's story in in-depth interviews, highlighting not only the incident itself, but the swift, decisive action she took to fire the manager responsible, showcasing her as a model of principled leadership, who refused to tolerate injustice and who used her platform to amplify voices that had long been marginalized or silenced. In the weeks following, Brooks Automotive underwent a profound transformation under Vanessa's visionary guidance, launching a comprehensive new initiative dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, which was developed in partnership with community leaders, civil rights activists, and experts in organizational culture, aimed at fostering a workplace environment where every employee and customer felt valued, respected, and empowered, regardless of their background. This initiative included mandatory training sessions designed to educate staff about unconscious bias, cultural competency, and the importance of allyship, alongside the creation of employee resource groups that provided safe spaces for dialogue and support, and a transparent reporting mechanism to ensure that any incidents of discrimination would be promptly addressed without fear of retaliation. Vanessa also spearheaded outreach programs to local schools and universities, providing scholarships and internships to underrepresented students interested in automotive technology and business leadership, thus reinforcing the company's commitment to creating opportunities for future generations and building a more diverse talent pipeline within the industry. Her dedication and success quickly caught the attention of influential figures and organizations beyond the automotive sector, leading to invitations to speak at prestigious conferences, industry panels, and corporate leadership summits where she shared her personal journey, the challenges she faced, and the strategies she employed to confront and overcome systemic racism, becoming a sought-after voice in the national dialogue on racial justice and corporate responsibility. Vanessa's speeches were marked by a powerful blend of humility and conviction, weaving together stories of perseverance, actionable insights, and calls to action that resonated deeply with audiences, inspiring leaders across sectors to evaluate and reform their own organizational cultures and policies. Despite the public scrutiny and the personal humiliation she endured during the ordeal, Vanessa emerged stronger and more resolute than ever before, transforming the painful experience into a catalyst for growth, resilience, and transformative leadership that redefined what it meant to be a CEO in the 21st century. Her story became a powerful symbol not only of individual triumph, but also of collective possibility, a reminder that no one, regardless of their status or success, should ever be denied dignity or respect, and that when injustice arises, the courage to stand tall and demand accountability can change the course of an entire industry and inspire a movement toward lasting social change. Within Brooks Automotive, the cultural shift was palpable. Employee morale soared, customer satisfaction increased, and the company's reputation flourished as a leader in ethical business practices and social advocacy, setting a new standard that competitors soon sought to emulate. Vanessa's leadership style, grounded in empathy, transparency, and unwavering principles, fostered loyalty and trust among her team, attracting diverse talent who saw in her a role model who not only talked about inclusivity but lived it daily. Outside the dealership, Vanessa's advocacy contributed to broader policy discussions around corporate diversity and inclusion, influencing legislation and encouraging other CEOs to prioritize equity as a core business strategy rather than a mere compliance requirement. Community organizations credited Brooks Automotive's partnership and investments with revitalizing local neighborhoods and creating pathways out of poverty, proving that business success and social responsibility could and must go hand in hand. As Vanessa reflected on the journey from that fateful day when she was denied service in her own showroom to the sweeping impact of her actions, she recognized that her fight was far from over, but felt empowered, knowing that her voice and leadership had sparked a movement that transcended individual companies and industries. Her legacy, already cemented in the hearts of her employees, customers, and the communities she served, would continue to inspire generations to come, proving that resilience, justice, and principled leadership are the true engines of change, and that standing up to discrimination with courage and conviction is not only a moral imperative, but a powerful catalyst capable of transforming lives, organizations, and society itself.